I was drilling while you were out getting food
Yeah.
before we met up now. I was drilling all the big holes in the starter phone. We talk a lot about those big holes. I did
Oh
like
yeah. I
30,
was gonna
30
ask you about
boxes.
those anyway sometime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice. And so
Convenient.
it's like a big circular drill bit that is not really a drill. I don't know what it's called.
Like a hole saw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something of the sort.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it becomes very fine dust of
Yeah.
aluminium. So I feel like I have a lot of that in my throat at the moment.
That's pretty bad for you.
Yeah, awful timing for recording something that is primarily based on using your vocal cords.
And also just in
Vibrates.
the long run. I
Oh
think
yeah, that's
inhaling
true.
aluminum is not
I think
great.
it's all psychological, you know.
Yeah.
I think I actually inhale any of that because then it would have to be really small, right?
I don't know. Well, you don't see the parts that are really small. Do you wear a
Yeah,
mask?
that's one of the things with things
Yeah.
that are
That
really
are
small
small. Yeah.
things.
That's
It's
one of
true.
their primary properties is their smallness.
One could say it's one of the perks.
That's really what it is to be small.
But we should start with saying a bunch of information, I guess. So, first of all, hi, I'm Magpie. Welcome to Almost Viral, a podcast about much that is so underrated to talk about in general. But we go there, we try.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not follow.
In addition,
In addition, we are recording video. We could say that. That's a good
yeah,
thing to
that's
say.
that's new
Yes.
for a podcast.
I actually want to say first that the audio is being recorded a bit differently. So it's for you listening. If it feels very unfamiliar and scary, don't worry.
Yeah, it's pretty similar. It's just
Yeah,
I'm recording on my end, so
it's
yeah,
just completely reversed.
yeah, it's just reversed exactly.
Pretty similar. It's just the complete opposite
Yeah, just
of how
yeah,
we usually do it. Maybe I
different.
pan us differently. No.
Yeah, different direction.
Yeah.
If it sounds like the audio is coming from Sweden and towards, like if it sounds like the audio is
Oh
moving
yeah.
west, that's what that is. Usually the audio is moving east.
We are making up our own lore now.
Yeah.
Of course, through the audio.
First Western bound
But
audio
the
episode.
reason for it being this way is because we are recording video.
Yeah.
So there's a link to that in the description because this episode I didn't say, hey, Analog Weapon is here, co-host, but
Oh,
also a guest, I guess, because or I'm the guest. I don't know. Well, it's us
everyone's a
only.
host and a guest on our
Yeah.
show at different points.
Very equality is a big part of
Yeah.
our brand.
Yeah.
Indeed. But yeah, we're recording the video and it's going to be put on the Magpie Pirates YouTube channel. So
Yeah.
you can subscribe to that even.
You could.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
you would hear a lot of music mostly, but other
Yeah.
stuff too, not just
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And maybe we record this more often, maybe.
Yeah,
Depends
we
on the
can.
audio.
It depends on audio,
It's not-
and when we usually have a guest, so we have to ask them, of course,
Yeah,
if they
yeah.
feel like it. But yeah, if
But
they do, that's
whenever
cool.
it's only you and me, we can do it,
Yeah,
I guess.
I don't care if
But
people
yeah.
see me.
No, you should.
Thanks. That's the honest feedback I needed.
You should at least consider the possibility.
Do I
that it
look
might
like I
occur.
care if people see me?
No, sorry. But the reason we're doing this is because I basically have a vision, and that vision is that I want us, as I told you before we started recording, I basically want us to have talked about Magpie pedals.
Yeah,
I can see, I see it as such. We had such a great conversation in my vision. It was sophisticated, and it had a
Yeah.
lot of good
really
stuff.
witty jokes here. And
Yeah,
there.
it was just amazing. I sold so many pedals.
Yeah. Yeah. If you buy a pedal while we're recording,
Yeah.
wait, that doesn't
will-
work.
Oh.
It's only if it's a stream.
Oh yeah, no.
It's like
it's
buy a
true.
pedal on stream for, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's not live, no, it's true. But yeah, there is a link to my shop, magpiepedals.com, in the description.
Yeah, easy to
Is it
remember.
always in the description?
No.
Well, from now on it is.
I think that I forget the links that are always in there. I think maybe it used to be Magpie Place, but then since that went away, then I don't know if we changed it to Magpie Pedals. It might just be, but there's magpiepirates.com, and obviously in this description there will be magpiepedals.com.
Yeah.
And then you can get from one to the other. We will.
I don't know. I would like feedback on links in general.
Yeah.
Who clicks them? When do you click them? Where do you click them? I
So
think
you
on
want
podcasts,
you're looking
a
for
lot of
like
people don't click them.
default manual and stats. So instead of like seeing who clicks what by programmatically, you just tell people to send you an email. Like,
Yeah.
Anytime you click this link, let me know.
Yeah, but I don't want to go through the effort of putting links everywhere.
Yeah. No, for the podcast, yeah, I'm curious too, because it's like, obviously put people's links in there who we're talking to, but we sometimes put other links, and I wonder how often people even look at it.
Nobody ever clicks them. We should stop bragging about that.
Yeah, we should just
we should
brag about how we don't put any links in.
Yeah, you go find your own stuff.
Sense of accomplishment on your part.
But yeah, if you're listening to this or watching this, you could always switch to listening this or watching to this.
If you don't,
watching this,
if you do or don't want to see, but we might show some stuff later. So the C part, is cool for this, especially.
Yes, but let's try to be extremely descriptive too.
Yeah.
So you don't feel like you have to watch it if you don't want to.
Yeah.
Maybe some people hate you.
Yeah, and some people can't see, so that's the thing too.
That's also true, and we are very much for equality on this podcast. We have already cemented that. I thought that was implicit.
Yeah.
There might be deaf people only watching.
That's
also.
true.
Yeah.
Well, so when we show, we'll have to be really good at showing too.
I didn't envision this in my vision. Adds a bunch of...
That's a lot of pressure on. We'll have to learn sign language real quick.
Yeah. Can we take a quick break? Learn some sign language?
I would love to know that.
I actually know not a lot, but I know, but it's called something. I don't remember what it's called.
From your old work.
Yeah.
For talking to people. Yeah.
Yes, for communication.
yes, language. Yes, for talking to people.
But it's like a way. It's a simpler version, I think.
Yeah,
because it's more. I don't know. Obvious what the
more commonly talked about
mean.
things and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's supposed to be easy to do. Also, I guess
I should learn.
It's not very advanced.
I think it's good to know for even when people who can hear, because the times when you can't, you could just say stuff with your hands. That's cool.
I might be remembering this wrong, but I think a lot of it is international also.
Yeah, no, I forget the name of it too, but when you told me about it before, I remember I looked it up, and it's like it's not like just a Swedish thing or whatever. It's global.
So then you know, which is kind of cool.
Link in the description. Once we remember what it's called.
Just way below all the other links.
No, it's the top one.
But yeah, I want us to have done this in regards to Magpie Pedals. Partly for marketing, I guess. We've established the marketing part. There's a link. I make shit. Hi, I'm the Magpie. I do stuff for a living. Ooh, like it.
Yeah.
Please. And I try very hard to sell it, but it's hard to market. So this is a part of that, I guess. But also because I think that I'm not sure. I guess we can evaluate later, but I think nicer is a word to choose to talk about something in regards to what I'm making and have made and stuff like that with another person
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
camera.
That makes sense. And I think it helped because I can ask you questions. And it also, I think it's fun because uh, you make stuff and you sell it, but like it's also fun to make stuff. And like, so when you show how it works or how you make it, that gives people ideas too for if they want to make stuff, which is fun.
Yeah,
It's,
don't play it up, bro.
no,
Don't.
it's really, but that is a thing. I think
Yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah,
why
yeah.
that's like, yeah, another aspect of it. That's because that's why I like to watch like other people who make stuff like pedals, and if the people who make it and they're talking about it, that's kind of going through my head. It's like, oh, that's how that works. I could that gives me some idea. So like that's something I
Yeah.
could make. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of it's the opposite of a tutorial video, basically.
Yeah.
When you're trying to talk as little as possible and just show what it does.
Yeah. Now
Now
we're
we're gonna
trying to talk
show as little as possible and talk about
talk
it
as much.
instead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we are gonna show the camera and we're gonna because a lot of it has to do with design choices also, which is something that is quite underplayed, maybe. I don't know. It's not something that you hear that much about.
Yeah.
In regard, I don't, or at least I don't. I don't know where to go look for that information, maybe, but I don't see a bunch of pedal builders or synth builders talk a lot about why things are the way they are
Yeah.
and looks
Sometimes
the
I
way they
think
looks.
people, yeah, sometimes maybe they're a little protective of it, even for some
Hmm.
reason that I don't totally know. But yeah, maybe
Yeah, I
just,
would think it's like a brag thing in my
yeah,
like for me, for sure. It's like there's some pride in regards to it.
yeah,
Things have ended up looking the way they do because I decided that they should.
because I had intentions and they, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I think I even brought up here like version ones and stuff.
yeah,
So I can show like a version one and a version two next to each other. Because for people who maybe not know, I don't know if we have anyone who doesn't know, like who are only a core, almost viral listeners, never seen my YouTube channel and never seen my YouTube channel.
and all that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. First of all, join the Magpie Pirates. I was this is like step one.
yeah,
And second of all, buy all my pedals. Third of all, listen to all my music. Fourth, maybe on the list, go watch all my YouTube videos, and then you can become a patron.
and then also, yeah, yeah.
That's what you wouldn't say, right?
Yeah, that was pretty much. I was gonna add you should try to eat healthy too. As like
Oh,
fifth.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow, way less egotistic.
Yeah,
Yeah,
throw that
fucking
just throw it in there.
exercise, drink water, stop with all your silly drug addictions.
Yeah. Give that all up.
Yeah. Any behavior you have that is abusive, work on it.
Yeah.
Hmm. Take some time,
But
work
first
on that.
the pedals.
First, go buy all my
Yeah.
priorities.
Yeah. It's just helping out.
Yeah. Uh, where was I before
Sorry.
that? Yeah, I guess I was saying that if anyone listening or watching knows nothing whatsoever of my journey or whatever, me and now Analog Weapon, who is here with me, have developed a bunch of version 2s for the Magpie pedals.
Yeah.
So there are version 1s quite naturally.
Yeah, as implied by the
Yeah.
numbering system. Yeah.
Yeah. Would it be cool to release like a version 4
Yeah.
first?
Without any 2 or
Yeah.
3. Yeah.
Then slowly walk your way
It's been
backwards.
done. Yeah. They
into
do that
worse
with
and worse.
software things sometimes. Where people are
Uh-huh.
like, where's version 4 or whatever? It's like,
No, good.
yeah.
Yeah, because they jumped.
Different
step,
reasons.
so-
Yeah. Like they had some other thing that was named something different and then they like merged it and then it'd be, yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. We can sort of use that as a segue to talk about names.
Yeah.
Actually, like I don't know where to start in this. We have
Names
done
of
stuff. We're
like,
gonna try to talk about everything this is a podcast. You're gonna be here for a while,
Yeah.
you know.
Sorry.
So
That's the way it is.
there's no like chronological or logical or logical or
Yeah.
kill
There's no
kill
cults at
order.
all.
Yeah, there's no real. Yeah, I don't have a paper on like start here.
But
So we can
names,
start
you were
with
saying you were
names.
talking like
Yeah,
names of pedals.
yeah,
Yeah.
because there are like two ethos, two ways of doing it. Either just call it, like bus pedals, basically.
Yeah.
DS1, distortion one,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And they have some like metal song, but it's very much in the name. Like this is what it
Yeah.
does.
So technical. It's like
Yeah,
description. Yeah.
and always the shortening also. Flanger, so FL
Yeah.
too.
That's just, I think, yeah, people expect that, or that makes it seem technical when I think that's the marketing purpose to
I wonder
that.
if I should do it with the bubbles. BB1. It's like a Star Wars thing.
BBL 1.
Yeah.
No, I like
I
the way
even
you do it. I like both ways, but I that actually has come up at my work with sound effects because we do the numbered lettery kind of thing usually. And anytime they've talked about naming new products, I'm always like, why don't we just like give it like, yeah, like this one's just called Jaguar or something. Because like then it gets confusing because then like the numbers and the letters start to not like they relate to something on it. Like you said, DS1 is distortion 1, but then if they make like another distortion, but like it's like a different kind, it might be a fuzz, then they might want to be like DF or what, I don't know. It's like the numbers and stuff start to get out of whack and then they don't relate to actual things and it's confusing. I like just names of things.
But I wonder with sound devices specifically, it's probably so many revisions now on things.
Yeah.
So this is like the Mix Pre 147.
Yeah. Well, and the numbers tend to relate to like inputs and outputs. Like the Mix Pre 3 is like is it has 3 main inputs, but like it also has more inputs, and like that's why I don't like that because you get stuck in this system that doesn't. It's confusing. Yeah.
And my system is that to come up with, basically encapsulating what the fuck it is within a name.
Yeah. It's more. Yours is more like not a song, but like a kind of like a title for a poem or something. It's like descriptive.
Spent a lot of time on it, even, which is quite fun to do. First one, of course, being fruits, like when I came up with fruits, but then I sort of built the entire concept around it. So I hammer in all the letters for those who doesn't know. So I like stamp it in with a hammer and a little piece of metal that you smash as hard as you can. So it makes an indentation in the metal enclosure. And I went online and I found these fruit slices that I could hammer in.
Yeah.
And that sort of became like, so these voices that you can add. I don't know, I had to go a lot into fruits because it's discontinued. But but yeah,
good luck,
like those were the fruits. Yeah. Exactly.
But so there the name came from literally just like some of the stuff you had at hand to label parameters.
No, basically the other way around, I think. I might be misremembering. It might be like you're saying.
Yeah, like you had fruit stamps, and so then it was called fruits because like.
No, I think that I wanted it to be called something in plural, if I remember correctly, because it was a very plurally pedal. So earlier titles was, for example, like Trident, because you could do 3 voices at the same time, but that felt silly. And then I went with the very colorful knobs on it.
Yeah.
Heavily inspired by Mantic Flex Pro, a pedal that is also just a metal box with colored knobs.
Yeah.
The first versions, now it's not anymore. But and that sort of looked like fruits almost, kind of.
Yeah, it's like fruit-like because fruit's colorful.
It all just fell into place. But speaking of something a bit more relevant, maybe. like we can start with the starter phone since that's sort of
Yeah.
our
Where did you come up with the
masterpiece.
name for that? No, just kidding.
I can wonder. I can wonder. Indeed, indeed. Yeah, but that's the name that's been around for years now. I see. I don't remember if the first one I did was in like 2016 or something like
Yeah,
that.
that was one of your older videos, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and that one it wasn't even this type of phone with a. The new one has a big red button, or the
Yeah.
new one. The ones I have had under the Magpie Pedals name. But it's one where analog has. There's a lot of analog
Yeah.
weaponry
There's a
in
lot
here.
of that sounds cool. Yeah, keep
Yeah,
saying
okay,
that.
good. Ooh. So I think it's the one we've spent for sure the most time on, at
Definitely.
least
Yeah.
together, which is
Yeah.
quite fun because the new version has this looper. So the very first version didn't have anything. It had two jacks and a piece of a phone on a
Yeah.
box,
Yeah.
and that was it. But as soon as I developed it as a Magpie pedals pedal, I wanted to add something more because what it does is that the signal goes through the phone parts, which is kind of cool. I know I showed now in my latest tutorial video for it. I showed the inside so you can actually
Yeah.
see the piece of the phone because it looks bizarre.
Yeah. It looks really neat
Uh,
inside.
yeah. There's so much I take out also from the phone. I'm making like a build video so you can see there. I like had to
Yeah.
rip out a transformer, I think.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, that was as I said, I'll let that video answer my question because that was going to be one of my questions is the process of taking those apart.
Yeah. I'm really quick at it now,
Yeah,
Just
it's like yeah, like if
I know
you're
how to dismantle a bomb.
yeah, as long as the bomb is this specific model of Swedish telephone.
Need a very very specific villain in my movie.
Yeah. He plants a bunch of
The
this
phone
model
bomber.
phone bombs around town.
But it's fine. I still solder now. Everything is done with like a Molex connector, but I still have to solder to the phone, of
Yeah.
course. Originally, I know you have picked apart a few phones yourself.
Mhm.
Everything is like screwed in place, so
Yeah,
nothing is soldered.
yeah, they just screw down like screw terminal
Yeah.
connections. Yeah.
But those are really nice to solder to because they have a hole
Yeah.
in them because they are screwed in place. So it's very reminiscent of the jacks and
Yeah.
stuff.
Just a big
Those always
piece
have
of
a hole.
metal to solder onto.
Yeah. I figured you could always do that when you turn telephones into microphones. You
Yeah.
don't have to solder to the jack. You just take those wires from that microphone because they have these V-shaped legs
Yeah.
or whatever on it. It's like a
That's meant
fork.
to be screwed down. Yeah.
Yeah. So you could probably gonna stick really
Yeah. No, I've done
nicely
that. Just
to the
soldered
jack.
those onto stuff. Yeah. It works good.
Yeah, but I mean you can just screw them on a
Oh,
jack
yeah. Yeah, you probably could.
with a little nut on the other side,
Yeah. Then you don't even have to have solder. I guess
Yeah.
they must have done that so then people who fixed the phones or those things could not have to
Yeah,
solder like in the field or
exactly.
whatever.
You just take it out. Yeah, it's true. When you go home to people to fix.
Yeah.
Smart.
So I kind of wondered why they wouldn't, but then I answered my own question.
Yeah. But as I also say in the video, if you haven't seen the video, you should go watch my video.
Yeah.
No. Like I move over to relay switches for taking care of all of the bypass because that's how guitar pedals work. You have a signal and then you want to be able to turn the signal on and off. So now that happens with a relay instead of just a mechanical button going kadish kadish. And when because actually I think that was where we kind of started working together with this
Yeah.
because I had done that with let's say analog parts or whatever. I had done it without a microcontroller
Yeah.
with CMOS because you can do it with like an and or gate,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Instead
To
of a
cut a
microcontroller.
signal with just electronically. Yeah.
No. You can do the relay.
Oh, you can control it with the relay.
You can control a relay with and or,
Yeah.
which is fascinating stuff. But so I had done that. I had made a couple of PCBs I'm not sure why we started doing it. Do
Yeah,
you
it's funny
remember?
because it hasn't even been that long, but I kind of forgot. Like exactly what the
Yeah.
first like problem was where you asked me and I was like, oh yeah, you could try this or whatever. It must have been me. I must have said like, oh, what if you just use a microcontroller or whatever, you know? Because
Yeah, maybe.
that's would have been that sounds like what I would have said.
Because I'm assuming it is in regards to the triple bypass that we developed. That I had something. I came to you with something in regards to the bypass.
Yeah, I think yeah, it was that. It was just controlling the relay like in other ways. Like you wanted to do not just the
Oh, maybe
stuttering, but
not just on
also the
off. I
bypass and
wanted to do.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, but that I wanted to do like the whole function first.
yeah,
Like what I want this to be able to be momentary. So it's
yeah.
just momentary on when if you press and hold down the button, it stays on for as
Right.
long as you hold it.
Because then,
And that's not true for the stutter phone though, but it's true for everything else.
yeah,
We
because
can
the
talk
holding
more
is
about
like not
that.
something you can do easy with without like a
No,
microcontroller. Yeah,
yeah. Uh, but anyways, when we had developed that, we can talk about that when we move over to other pedals. I also had to develop a silencer, and that's what I also say in the video. Um, in order for to like when the relay switches over, there's a bit of a pop sound
yeah.
in the signal. It goes kadish kadish, which is just the
That
signal
might,
latching.
you know what? That might actually be one of the where it started, where I started to actually work with. It's that I got a Meist pedal. Remember? And I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh, I was like,
yeah,
that's really cool. I was like, but whenever I bypass, it goes pop, and you're like, oh yeah, that's this blah blah blah. You know, like
yeah. It's the mechanical
yeah. I think
switch.
that might have been how we started actually doing work. Yeah,
That's true. Yeah. But to put the end on a sentence or something, that silencer is now what's silencing the signal in the starter phone also,
yeah,
which has been highly confusing in our like when we've been working, because I'm the only one who has had a thing in
yeah,
front of me, and it's been like, oh, we need a thing to happen on the microcontroller on that leg for the silencer, and you're like, what's silence?
yeah,
What do you mean this or that?
yeah.
No,
And it
hard to
was yeah
communicate.
confusing because the stuttering is the same part of the circuit as just
Yeah.
turning it off. So it's but in the code it's different, you know. So it's like got confusing.
Yeah, because basically when you press the button, a silencer turns on to mute the signal, and then the relay happens, and then the silencer stops silencing the signal,
Yeah, it's like
and that all happens within a few microseconds,
yeah, yeah. It's really fast.
milliseconds. Yeah,
Microseconds, really. Yeah, like yeah. It's super fast.
yeah. You don't even notice the silence.
No, it would be
That's how
too fast
fast
for
that
a
is.
human to know about. But it makes a
It's kind
difference
of
in the
cool.
sound. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
that's what's cool.
That's really cool. And now, since that is what's also taken care of, like whenever you press the big starter phone has a big red button that you can press, that just activates that silencer. Like whenever you press
Yeah,
down the big red button, that just happens. And it's done in a pretty cool way. Like it's essentially just a MOSFET transistor and a one oof capacitor and a couple of resistors.
yeah,
All you need, really, which I came up with myself. But I'm probably not alone with having come up with that. But surprisingly enough, not available information
yeah,
online.
yeah,
Fuck ton of like opto transistor nonsense instead.
yeah.
Which maybe I say nonsense now, and I might have to eat those words. There might be good reasons
Oh
for it.
yeah,
I
so
don't know.
maybe in different applications there's some reason why that like the way you did it wouldn't work, but yeah, it
Yeah,
works fine in the pedals.
I apologize. We are a very inclusive and whatever word I said before podcast. I don't want to
Yeah, it's we're
offend
okay with
people.
opto stuff too. It's okay.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
love them.
Yeah.
They're amazing. It's surprisingly hard to source, though.
Yeah.
And that's the same with the relays. I saw some questions in regards to the relays. Like those types of parts are hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
also all the footprints are different when you want to
Yeah.
put them on a PCB. So I have to find something that I can actually get a bunch of for a while.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not like just a resistor or whatever.
No, yeah, exactly. But yeah, and then with the starter phone, we also developed a looper. So that was one of the big benefits with the microcontroller.
Yeah.
Double-edged sword as far as a benefit goes, because it took us the most
That
time
took the
to
most
figure all
time.
of that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that came from, oh, we'll use a microcontroller to do all the stuff you just talked about. And then we're like, well, now we have a microcontroller. What else could we do? And
Yeah.
that's where the looping thing came in.
And I remember having to spend many minutes trying to explain how I pictured it in my mind, with it being like a conveyor belt
Yeah.
of just a constant thing counting to 100 or something like that,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly. And then it's always counting on a set, time or whatever. And
Yeah.
whenever you input something with the big red button, that covers a bunch of steps within that counting that
Yeah.
then comes back. And like those steps, because that's how I envisioned it being, like longer and shorter possible
Yeah.
taps of silence.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was a fun challenge for me, like programming, because the microcontroller that we use in there is pretty small for like memory. So like it was fun to figure out ways to remember time, it was like a
Yeah.
limited set of memory, because like if you had more memory, there's easier ways you could do it that would be take up a bunch more memory. But yeah, it's like got down to like keeping track of the point that you pushed it and the point that you let it go, and getting rid of, like you said, getting rid of the ones that fell in between that, so there's space for new ones later. Like it's
Yeah, it
fun.
was fun when we, at the very end, we were testing like, okay, what is the actual limit of like inputs we can do?
Yeah.
And I think that when we were switching between 10 and 12, it just, oh no,
Yeah, you can't do that.
you
Yeah.
cannot.
Yeah, that's
This
how
is,
close the numbers were. It's like you can
yeah.
remember 10 numbers, but not 12. Yeah. Yeah.
Fun. But yeah, I mean, yeah. And then we added the number
Yeah.
dial. So what you can also do with the starter phone, because yeah, we didn't talk that much about the design, but I guess it's very obvious. It's a big piece of a phone.
If you didn't notice. Yeah.
So this one sort of, yeah. So as far as the design goes, yeah, but I mean, it's a fun limitation. Also, actually, it becomes with having a big piece of a phone,
Yeah.
because
You
there are
can't
only so many
fit
box
much else.
sizes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I could either go with this, which is as close as possible, or I could go with to be able to actually fit a button and a couple of knobs also,
Yeah.
or I could go with like a really big thing, yeah,
Yeah. That's like,
which would look silly.
yeah, too big.
Yeah. Which, yeah, as soon as because the version 1 only has, and now it's underneath everything in the pile that I made here. But if you compare them, like version 1, 2 knobs, a button, and an LED. Now it's
Yeah.
got 4 knobs, or yeah, one isn't really a knob, a
4
tiny
knobs,
one.
and one of the knobs is also another LED.
Yeah.
So that's like another big change of that.
So, and that had to be placed where it's placed. Like there's literally no
Yeah.
real space to put it, except like you have to
Which
go
is-
up here at the very
Yeah.
end.
Convenient, because it's a pretty good place, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
it looks really cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But yeah, back to the numbers. So with the numbers in loop mode, and you switch to loop mode by just holding in the bypass button, which is also why it doesn't have the triple bypass, because we implemented that function for the
Yeah.
bypass button
You
instead.
used hold.
Yeah, but now you made like a counter for it, that was what took the very most
Yeah.
effort and time.
Yeah. Somewhat due to, because I was learning a little bit about some of these particular microcontroller at the time, but yeah, it was also, timing is interesting, like to count, like, because you have to kind of have a range of how many times it passes each number, because when you pass the number, It's just, flipping a switch every time it dit, and to know the time between those for the computer to know, oh, this thing is spinning, based on
Yeah.
just how close together they are. That was a
Couldn't you
challenge.
just put a little camera and show it that it's spinning?
Yeah, yeah. There, just get AI in the computer
But
so it knows
it's
what
really
spin
fun
means.
also because we were able to sync it for so long, like for weeks before we were able to get the. Because what
Yeah,
the number dial does at the very end, like now when it's done, is that whatever number you put in, that's how many steps from a input clock source it's gonna skip
yeah,
before it
yeah. I
goes
guess
back.
we didn't describe. There's an input so you can send the clock in, like from modular or
Yeah.
whatever, and then every time it pulses, that'll restart the loop so it syncs. And then that's what this is playing with. It's like skipping some
The
counts.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah. And we we realized way too late, like maybe it was working for at least a few days before we thought it was working. It was just such a, when we realized and we did a Google search on triggers versus gates and like
yeah,
how short triggers in the world of modular can actually be.
yeah. Yeah, we were in like millisecond world with all, because for clocking all of our stuff with like, when someone presses the mute and unmute, like 1 millisecond's like fine, like I don't think human ear can hardly discern, like a latency for up to like starting around like probably, I don't know, 20, 40 milliseconds. So like
Yeah.
1 millisecond was fine, but so that's what the clock of the microcontroller was running at, which means that's the fastest it could sample input, like the trigger. And some triggers in modular, I guess, are like 1 millisecond's like not good enough or whatever. Like they can be like so fast.
Yeah, it's very, very strange. There's also no standard for it. I
No,
think we realized when we
yeah.
were Googling.
And
They
I don't
just
I
seem
don't
to
know if
wing
that's
it.
like because so much stuff in modular is like in the analog realm, so it's just like once it whatever the circuit's like, once it passes a threshold, it's just like instant almost for that.
Yeah.
Because but with a microcontroller in the digital world, it's like you need to know because you need to know how fast to keep checking.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's weird. But we tried at one point to plug in. I think it was moving from a trigger to a gate. And with a gate, it just worked
yeah,
instead. Or
yeah.
like I
I don't know
think
if
it's a gate.
was it your drum machine
Yeah,
or
exactly.
yeah.
So I'm not even sure if it's a gate or just a longer. I don't know if actually saying it out loud now, maybe there is a standard for a clock out. Because now
Yeah,
we're all of a sudden there's like 3 different outputs:
yeah,
trigger, gate, and clock.
yeah. Yeah, we're learning. We were learning about a lot of these things, or still are, or some of the like standards.
I feel like we're de-learning stuff
We're
as we
unlearning.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very strange. But yeah, it's definitely the thing with. Actually, did you see now my only competition, the ones doing the Morse code thing? I don't
oh,
remember what it's
I
called
forget what
now.
they're called, but I know what you're talking
Upper
about.
Sound, maybe. Uh,
Yeah.
they launched like a new version that you can also like sync with MIDI and stuff,
Huh.
and like store patterns or something like that.
Damn it. They one upped us.
No,
But
they're
they
quite
don't
the
have a phone
opposite.
dial.
Exactly. That's my. They have something even cooler, the fucking Morse thing.
Damn it. I don't know I think the phone dial is a little bit cooler because it goes dit, 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 dit.
Yeah, yeah. I also am in favor of the phone for sure. These are also old for real. I don't know if they're, Morse
Yeah. I wonder if
thingies
they're
are.
getting them manufactured or they're actually
Yeah.
finding old ones somewhere.
Ooh, on them if they are. Then I'm way cooler.
Those would be probably harder to find than even the phones, so
Yeah.
maybe, yeah,
True.
because it's such older technology.
Yeah. And not equally mass produced, I guess. These were
Yeah,
in like
probably not.
everyone's homes, at least since the 50s. Like some of these are from the 50s
Yeah,
that I'm dismantling. feels like a
They're kind
ooh.
of unique to Sweden, though. I think I
Yeah,
don't. I mean, I've seen some sort of similar wonky phones here, but not not where I feel like I'd be able to find a bunch of them. You know, even on eBay or whatever.
pretty sure it is Swedish design.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Ericophone. But anyways, they I don't think they do what we do though. That you can record a pattern. I might be.
Oh, like you could
I
just
don't think so though.
yeah send a pattern from MIDI or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
which is who's gonna do
please.
that? You
Yeah.
know? Yeah. Should get him on the show. Talk
Yeah.
about that.
Like, why do you think this is any cooler than the starter phone? First question.
Yeah. They also work together with Jack White and shit.
Second question. What
Yeah.
gives you the right? How dare
Yeah. And also, can I have his phone number?
you? Yeah. Get me in touch with Jack White. Episode over.
But we can move on to talk a little bit about the triple bypass, I guess, because
Yeah.
that's sort of an overarching theme for all of the other things. Like that,
Yeah.
and that's a fucking funny thing, you know? Especially when we had the eureka moment
Yeah.
of like, I mean, I'm just so fascinated by the idea of coming up with ideas in the world of like general functions
Yeah.
for already such a established thing, a
Yeah.
guitar pedal, the turning it on and off part of a guitar pedal, and like figuring out something creative with that.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre. Like, how long has guitar pedals been around? For a really long time, and
Yeah.
nobody thought of doing that.
Yeah. That's why.
Seemingly.
That's why it's fun to play with functionality in that. I mean, it can also be a little. I was gonna say dangerous. That's too dramatic of a word, but like you have to just. You can come up with a lot of ideas that are bad, and then before you come up with good ones, because for a lot of simple things, it's like there's a reason that it's the simple or whatever.
But that's the scary part, because I know we were both sort of, we were talking a lot about that. Like, why hasn't this been done? Like, is there a reason? And you try to think really hard of, because I could explain what it does first, is that first of all, you can turn the pedal on and off. That's quite natural. And then you can also do the hold thing, which has been done before. So you just press and you hold it in whenever you have a momentary, and then you just, when you let go of it, it goes back to the previous state. But what we are introducing is also a tap tempo bypass. So if you double press the button really quickly, it goes into turning the pedal on and off automatically, and then you can tap in a tempo for that. So it just does it in whatever tempo you tap in. And then we came up with the name. I take full responsibility.
Since there's 3 of them, it's triple bypass. It works. Well, and especially the tap tempo one is like, like I said, I think you said that when you were talking, and I agreed. I think I don't think I know of anyone who's done that before. I mean, and it's like maybe at first, when you first think of it, a little goofy, but like it's not like that, because it's like it just adds another dimension. It's like I really kind of wouldn't mind if every pedal I had did that, especially if double tapping doesn't do anything else anyway. Like, why not?
I cannot come up with any reason for it not to be a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, one reason, longevity of the relay in our case.
Maybe.
Like, I have been reading about solid state relays a bit. And maybe that would be a thing. But these relays that I'm using are marked for such a high number.
Yeah.
Of like the times it can go back and forth. It's like if you put it in tap tempo on the fastest, it would still last for, I don't know how many days.
Long time. If it was just on the whole time. Yeah.
I
mean, they're made for all general stuff, so it's like they wouldn't even make it if the number wasn't something kind of ridiculously high. What would it be useful for?
And I think just foot switches, they're if you read the data sheet, I think it says like a couple of 100,000 or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and
So
if you
those
think
would
about
still break
how long you have a
quicker.
pedal, like all the components have, nothing is permanent.
But that's like the only reason I can think of why it would, yeah, it potentially be not super nice
Yeah,
a
that's a
couple of years down the line.
pretty small reason. Yeah, but
But other than that, I don't know.
yeah, and it really adds, like I said, it adds a dimension, like especially when you have like pedals in a row, because like you think of like bypassing and like, oh, that might be quiet, like if it's a thing that adds a lot of volume, like a distortion, but like that, even that can be cool. But if you have a bunch of pedals in a row too, it's like, it's not as disruptive as it sounds, and especially since you
Yeah.
can tap it, then that's musical, so you can do it in the tempo of
And
whatever
also,
you're
if
doing.
you put it on a really long time, like I think
Yeah,
our max time is like a minute or something like that.
yeah, it's something pretty ridiculously long in terms of music. Yeah,
Mm. Which is like it's not super convenient to get to because it's always counting since the last tap. So you have
yeah,
to go into tap tempo and then be in a tempo for a while and then just press once.
yeah,
And it's gonna be from the last
yeah,
tap of the tempo you put in before.
yeah,
So you have to wait a minute in a tempo before you can do the 1 minute
yeah.
tempo.
You gotta get set up beforehand for
Yeah.
some things, but
But if you have like a couple of them, Magpie Pirates, link in the description, buy all of them. And something turns on and off with like it happens within minutes and stuff, you know. You
yeah,
know what I mean?
it's like, yeah, almost a generative kind of feeling, at least.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's really cool.
yeah, and there's definitely with it now. There's like with when make as we make new stuff, like there's all sorts of different things you could play with that on based on that too.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to stick on this a tiny bit more before I want to say what we did with that then after like we did funny shit. But because what I wanted to say also in regards to why it hasn't been done before, uh, there's this, at least in my mind, quite often, I always have to navigate if like, is there a good reason to why this hasn't been done before, or has it simply never been done before because of the status quo or something? Like
Yeah,
people don't want to adventure out of what has been working for so long. Like
yeah,
if there's like a safety thing involved,
yeah. I think
it
maybe that's
works. Why
part of
change
it.
it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And
because we're
who?
really not changing it. Like we're just introducing more.
Yeah, it's kind of like a thing you can do if you want, because like something can happen when you double tap the button. So like,
Yeah.
why, like why not make something happen even if you don't use it as much? But it probably, another part of it might be that the people presenting it, like if it's a big established kind of company that like has, they might get all this flack, like because they're just like, that's goofy or whatever,
Hmm. You
which is,
suck. I hate you
yeah,
now.
yeah,
I'm gonna burn my Nike.
yeah, yeah, which for them is a bigger deal, like so maybe that's like
Yeah, but
that's just another way of saying the status quo thing, I guess.
but remember when we were researching it to see if anybody had done it, I told you, I think it was both. I think it was TC Electronic and Earthquaker Devices are working with companies that only develop the bypass button
Oh
system
yeah,
or
I
something like
vaguely remember that. Yeah,
yeah, which is just bizarre to think about. Like they have a specific company they work with then
yeah,
that only does the bypass.
yeah. It's like an industry. It's a audio
Yeah, the
bypass
bypass.
industry.
We could tap into that. Uh, yeah, but it's interesting to know that and still be the one introducing something that is potentially
Yeah, maybe they have
groundbreaking.
like a trade show or something. We could go there
Yeah,
and like be really disruptive.
yeah.
Like tap tempo.
Oh,
What, you
there's
guys
a
never thought of this?
Because I did think a lot about like, oh, should we have like a speed knob for the bypass now? And like, do we
Yeah.
have to add a bunch of stuff?
Yeah.
Uh,
You-
but no, it's
That
fun
they
though how we're able to keep it. Like many of them still only has one button, and you're able to do so much with that.
yeah.
It's really cool.
It's another challenge too that's fun, I think, is the when you have like a limited amount of controls to do different functions with them and to make it that it's not confusing, you know,
Yeah.
so you know, oh, I did this, and yeah, like because as you're going through testing things, that's what came up a lot, where it's like, what if you double tap and then this happens, and then you're like, okay, that works, but it's kind of confusing because you don't know, so we have to decide like how, like maybe turn a light on or something, or
Yeah.
maybe that's just too confusing, so we just won't do that, you know.
It's such a big part of my ethos in regards to music equipment. I think like I'm constantly thinking about that when I use other gear, how I
Yeah,
dislike certain things. Like if I have to hold the button and then turn a knob and there's like no light indicating that I'm holding the button
yeah,
and stuff like that. Like I simply cannot deal with it.
yeah, it's
So I think starter phone being the one that does the most, we like specifically went with an LED that can switch between green and red. So
yeah,
it's like super obvious. And
yeah,
then even the silence is always indicated by the white LED. And
yeah.
last thing we implemented was also the divergent. Is I've been
The word
listening
that
to the divergent audiobook.
the word that you kept forgetting, invert.
Invert. Good audiobooks, though, gotta say. I'm pleasantly surprised by them.
They just don't help you remember the word invert.
They're
Yeah.
kind of like sexy, even,
Oh,
but
nice.
we shouldn't go into this. But but yeah, the invert button. So, and that's all thanks to Accurate Beats, actually, because he is hip hop,
Yeah,
and that's the thing.
yeah.
Um,
It's an accurate
but so when
beats
you
button
press that, then the button is always, or the LED is always shining white, so you know
until
that
you
you press
push it.
the
Just, yeah,
button.
it inverts the entire function, so it's,
Yeah.
yeah, always on, or no, always off, and you sound. Yeah,
Um, so that's definitely something that is very important, and I try really hard to always have it like, if there's a knob, that knob does a thing,
yeah,
which is interesting now that we shouldn't spoil anything in regards to that, but we started in our minds working on a synthesizer together also.
we're not really doing it, but in our minds, yeah, that's a good job. It's not spoiled at all.
We have written a bunch of notes and stuff, but that one is gonna have some of those challenges. Like we are facing some of those challenges because we're starting off with such a ridiculous limitation
Yeah, yeah,
because of that mistake. Like I'm gonna spoil this now because it's so fucking stupid. So I bought 50 of the wrong enclosure.
it's
So
perfect.
I have 50 boxes that we have to fill with shit. So we started making a synth to
Yeah,
fit in that box. And it's gonna be amazing.
when I've read about other stuff people have made and things like that, it's like that's not people. That's happened to people. Same thing where they're just like, oh, I
Nice.
got a bunch of these. Like, what can I do with them? You know?
Yeah, you gotta like figure just backwards, I guess.
Yeah. It's like now that I have the thing, how do I make a thing that works with that?
How do I get back my money?
Yeah, if you put it that way.
That's basically what it is. It's not inspired at all. It's just how do I turn this into a
This needs to be
positive?
turned back into cash quick.
But since we're limited by that, but we still have grandiose ideas in regards to functions and stuff like that, it's possible that we're gonna have to, you know, eat up all of the words we just said in regards to doing
Yeah.
stuff visually and shit.
We'll see.
We'll see.
I don't think so. It's a,
Now we're probably
yeah,
figured out.
it's a fun. It's like I said, it's a fun challenge. Like there's always, and if the worst thing that happens is that you might not have a way to make it simple enough, so like you don't do that in that thing,
Yeah.
which is okay as long as you have enough stuff to do.
But it's always for me back to how I'm personally don't enjoy reading manuals.
Yeah,
I have always been a person who starts with just plugging a thing in and tries to do stuff with it.
yeah,
Did you just move your cursor?
yeah. No, it's because sorry, I was getting interrupted. I'm trying to mute the interruption.
Well, yeah, I want to. I don't remember what I said. Not really. Yeah, plugging a thing in and trying to do stuff first,
Yeah,
and then if I encounter problems, I start the hours and hours of trying to find that specific part in the manual.
yeah, yeah. That's another thing that's totally related to what you're talking about, but not to, or it's just what I do. But like I like technical writing too, so I kind of I get that. Like I get that people don't want to read the directions, and that like kind of it's a kind of the same challenge. It's like how do I make this as clear as possible to where like somebody it could still be useful, where like if they did read it or if to make it in a way that they won't look at and be like, I don't want to read that,
Yeah, there's so many different things you can do with actually writing the manual. Also, I get rid of words. I write it as spot on as possible.
Yeah.
Because I have to print it and fold it myself. I fold paper hats with all my manuals.
Yeah.
For people who haven't bought my shit yet, they maybe don't know. But yeah, I fold paper hats. I want the manual to fit on a single paper.
Yeah, for the hat.
Or get a printer that can print on both sides of a single paper.
No, that's cheating. That's too many words.
With shorter manuals, I could even fold. I do that with the Pocket Drone because that manual is so short.
Yeah.
So I can if I have a square paper, I can fold other shit.
Yeah.
So I fold like a magpie with it.
Oh, nice.
It's nice. A little bird that can flap its wings when you pull the tail.
That's big bonus.
I was way into origami as a kid.
Yeah, I can tell. Yeah. That's advanced, like motion.
Yeah, it's 3D.
I'm gonna get one of those pedals just for the bird.
It's a synth. It's a tiny drone.
Right. So I'm gonna get one of those synths for the bird. I don't care what it is. I just want the bird.
Okay, fuck you. You can buy the half piece of paper. But it's I know other companies like some go like I personally just simply cannot afford to like order nice pamphlets or whatever.
Yeah, it's expensive to print like nicely.
Yeah, surprisingly so. And I know with some you get so much in the paperwork for the gear you're buying. It's like an entire fucking experience with like I don't know, short stories and puzzles to Sudoku.
I think that's part of it though. Like it's so expensive to print stuff. They're like, well, if I'm gonna spend money on printing stuff,
exactly.
Print a bunch of shit. You're gonna have to have it all.
Looking QR code that is outdated.
Yeah, to like register your product that like doesn't go anywhere. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a weird thing with the whole register. Have you done that? Why do you do that?
I've done it. Because then sometimes if you need to get it fixed, some people won't like do it if you don't register it. That might not. I think in Europe it's not as big of a deal because there's like actual laws. But yeah, in America it's like a thing. Yeah. So if you ever get anyone asking if they can register it, they're probably going to be American.
Because I had it now with. I finally pulled that plug and got myself a new laptop actually for so I can take the laptop we're on now that has a completely broken screen. It's a fun segue, but yeah, I have to put a guitar pick because it's like it's a mechanical error or whatever. There's like some of the connection between the screen on this laptop and the other part.
Yeah.
doesn't connect properly, it seems. So it just goes black or it's glitching crazy. So I know where I have to put like a guitar pick or an SD card in order for it to bend at that very
Yeah.
specific point in order for the screen to work.
I wanted to be there when you found that. That was probably a weird process.
Yeah, it was a lot of. I just noticed once when I had it up, probably playing Minecraft or something, that it started flickering. You know, you hear the sound of a creeper at the same time. Ah, you're freaking out. I've solved this now. You know. And I think I was like flipping it up and down.
Yeah.
And whilst doing that, and then like pressing all over.
Yeah, you realize where
on?
you pressed.
Yeah. But anyways, got a new laptop. Got a great deal on this new laptop. Also, you remember we were talking while I got the deal. It was such a fucking amazing deal.
Yeah.
It's a suspiciously good deal. But that one wanted me to right away register the product.
Yeah.
Like when I started it up.
Most of it. I mean, most of it's marketing. They just want your email so they can keep advertising to you to buy more shit. But yeah, like I said, yeah, like in America, that sometimes they'll be like, "Oh, it's broken," and like a year or two later, and they'll be like, "Well, you didn't register it," It's like,
but how does that work when you buy secondhand and stuff?
Then that doesn't. I guess it depends on each company. Yeah.
Yeah.
Transferable warranty. Some of them have that. Most of them don't, though. Again, I don't know European law. They might have to fix it in Europe, but
no idea. Anyways, triple bypass turns the pedal.
Yeah, we got on a tangent.
Yeah. And that's something that is then in many of the other ones. And the funny thing I wanted to say is that for Bubbles and Cozy, the only two I have here right now, so those are finished ones that you can buy right now. They are not pedals in development. Here because Bubbles has a sequencer, so it's a sequenced PT2399 delay. Cozy is like a cousin, and it's a sample and hold control PT2399 delay. So both of these work a lot with clock sources because you gotta clock both of those things. So we figured that in clock sources, essentially when you're working with buttons in the, I don't know, digital realm, I guess, those are essentially clock sources that just happens whenever you press them. Like they work the same.
Yeah, a clock is a pulse.
High and low.
Yeah,
exactly. So whenever you're in tap tempo bypass, then it's essentially as if you're tapping it over and over again.
Yeah.
And that will make the pulse go high whenever you do it, but automated.
Yeah.
Because that's how the microcontroller reads the button. It gets voltage whenever the button is pushed down. So then we figured that we could take that signal and plug that into the sequencer. Of Bubbles.
So then it can sync with it.
Yeah. So every time the pedal turns off, it walks a step. And every time it turns on again, it walks a step.
Yeah.
So it's going to be different, like circling through.
Yeah. And it's cool because it's like, I mean, the pedal, when it's not doing that, is like doing neat stuff with the sequencer and the timing of the delay changing. So if you do that, it's like also cutting off the tails of, from before. It's just a little different thing.
And with the sample and hold one, so with Cozy, it's going to be random every like it's never going to be the same when it goes back again. Differences might be super slight, so it might feel and sound the same, I guess, depending on your control settings. But essentially, it's going to have sampled something completely new.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, that one, cool. The feeling is a lot more like random kind of feel when you do the tap tempo bypass.
It's strangely enough the very least popular Magpie pedal.
Really?
Actually. I don't know if it's because people really don't like the design or because they maybe don't know what the sample and hold is to begin with. Maybe, it maybe just sounds stupid.
I have to do a full Cozy presentation with Jack White.
Then I would have to have like a black box with yellow knobs. I
Yeah.
don't want
Well, yeah,
that.
we'll make one for him, obviously.
I really personally like Cozy. And I really, really like the design. Like it's such a nice
Yeah, I
design.
mean, how when I have all of them, like when I play with them, that's the probably the one I play with more.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
That's funny. It's funny also because the only pedal analog I ever bought for me was the Mace one, and that is like the previous
like
version
a
of Cozy.
predecessor, kind of. Yeah,
Yeah. A
yeah,
lot of the design, or some of the design at least, got over to
yeah,
it, same knobs, the green ones, because those I really like those
yeah. I
actually.
like how they feel,
Yeah, they're
and
very
their
nice.
size is nice too. Not too big,
Yeah,
not too small.
it's like a mini boss
Yeah,
or something,
yeah,
like in between regular boss and tiny boss. Yeah, it's nice, and also it's the same yellow as the flower
yeah,
on the 3D print. Because I didn't talk about that. It's actually affecting even to the point of stutter phone. So for the LED holes and for the foot switches, in some cases, not in all cases, I 3D print myself the things that I put in there, which is also something that I've never seen before.
I haven't
Funny
seen
enough.
anyone do that. At least not in that way. I think I have seen people do like spacers, like you do, like for some of the, like on the button part. I've seen that, but just for that, I haven't seen like making creative things for LEDs or anything like that, like you do.
I've never seen anybody do spacers for the foot switch with a twist,
Not yeah, not with anything but a circle. I've only ever seen a circle. Yeah,
And the circle ones, you get the white circle ones with the foot switch when you
yeah,
order foot switches, the classic mechanical ones.
yeah.
But I go with all kinds of
That might
colors, and
just maybe
also,
that's all I'm seeing. It's just those. Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
I know that you can buy colored, like anodized aluminum nuts,
yeah,
so different colored nuts,
yeah.
which is it's peculiar to me that that's a product that arrived at the market before
Yeah,
a piece of plastic.
especially yeah, because it's still visual. It's like you're just
Yeah,
changing the look of it, basically. Yeah,
which is fun. And I tried selling because I designed like a handful, I don't remember how many, like maybe up towards 10 actually different things to put on the foot switch, call it pedal
pedal
poppers.
poppers. Yeah,
Wasn't a very smart product from the point of view of being a one person operation, having to make it myself. So just like shipping and stuff. It's
yeah,
not a great turnaround on that.
yeah,
But I really, really enjoy it. Like most has like a big flower, Bit Pirate has the crossbones. It
yeah,
just gives it such a vibe, which such an easy little thing to
yeah,
do.
yeah. It really changes the whole way the pedal looks. I mean,
Yeah,
like it's like it's similar to like painting on it or something,
yeah, exactly. But with depth.
but with dimension
It's
and
3D.
yeah,
Yeah. But so for Cozy specifically, I designed like a white cloud and I put the white LED in that one because Mist has like a lot of LEDs on it
yeah,
for podcast listeners. So there's a LED indicating on and off, and that's red, and that's got a heart then.
yeah.
And it's way more orange on camera. I've noticed
It,
when I recorded the tutorials. It's pretty
yeah,
red in person.
it looks red right now on this
Yeah, yeah.
camera.
No, but it's not when I turn it on. I mean,
Oh
it
yeah,
like
the actual light.
shines
Yeah,
orange. Yeah, and then a yellow one, so that became a star, and that's like the sample and hold light. So it indicates where, like, it's not super perfect because it's an LED, so it won't show a lot of difference between 2 and 2.5 volts.
yeah,
But it will give you a sense of like, is it dim or is it super bright?
yeah,
And a white one for the clock, and that clock is too fast for a camera to pick up.
yeah,
It's kind of funny.
yeah. So
It picks
just
it up from time to time,
yeah,
but not
yeah. It's
steadily.
funny. Yeah, I didn't notice that. You can see it. I can see it fine in real life. Eyes are
Because
good camera, so
that is true. Yeah. Maybe if I went like 60 FPS or
yeah,
something.
yeah. Then it might get it.
Because I remember we were fighting like crazy with that specific, like the clock indicator LED because it was impossible seemingly for us to get it to work on a different pin on the
Yeah.
microcontroller to just have one. So now it's just hard connected to the clock output, and that clock has to be super fast for the sample and hold to sample really quickly.
Yeah.
Maybe people don't know what the sample and hold is that are listening. Then
Well,
I
you
can say
better
that.
tell them.
Yeah. So essentially, imagine you have a sinus curve going up and down in a very wavy way like that. And then you have a sailor who wants to catch a bit of that ocean wave. So he grabs a hold of it at some point on that curve and he looks at it for however long you have decided until he tries to catch one again. And then you're stuck over there. So wherever on the curve your little sailor person grabs a hold, that's where you're stuck.
Yeah, that's a funny analogy.
I
It's
tried to
basically
come up with something on the fly here.
Yeah,
so
imagine
thank
it's
you.
a sailor. It's sample and holds like a sailor.
And that's why the last LED is blue. The drop.
Exactly. That's where that derives from. I get it now.
But that's the LFO. So it's got an analog LFO, it's just the wave is not necessarily a perfect sine wave because it's just a voltage dividing thing. So it's like charging up a capacitor and then
Yeah,
charging it on.
whatever shape it is, it's probably pretty symmetrical though. That's all that really matters for music.
It's a curve.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, that really doesn't matter that much because wherever it is on that curve, it's gonna sample it
And
with
then
the clock,
hold it, yeah.
and then hold it.
Yeah.
So it can be either high. I just put it on the highest speed basically
Yeah.
on the LFO because then it just whenever it samples, I don't know what the fuck it's gonna be.
Yeah, it's like that's true. Yeah, it could just be a noise source if you wanted it to.
Yeah, kind of. And with Cozy, we also implemented the manual mode, which is really nice. So you can do it by pressing the button. You become the sailor in the analogy.
You can make a sailor pedal popper or something.
A little pipe and a big beard. And Captain Morgan, I think, is a commercial.
Yeah. We'll definitely use their brand imagery.
Yeah. But it's really fun because it's not something that I've seen either. I know that's something that I tend to throw out there almost as a tagline for what I'm doing, but I haven't seen anybody else do a sample and hold specifically delay, like a PT2399 delay. I've seen a lot of modulated ones, like most, where it's like LFO controlled, but not sample and hold where it sticks, and it's really wonky to play around with.
Yeah,
actually.
Yeah, it's fun.
It feels so random.
It's kind of like Bubbles is like it too, where it's like you kind of gotta get used to it. Like it's not like right away it does fun stuff, but like to realize like the other stuff you can do with it, you do have to kind of play with it for a little bit. Which actually, a lot of pedals that I end up liking a lot are like that because you just have to, you got to learn it a little bit, like get a feel for it.
I think the danger between like with Bubbles, the danger is that you start feeling like, ooh, I can make it better. Like I can tweak it more because you have more control. Whereas with Cozy, it's liberating to not have the values to be put in by hand on a sequencer.
Yeah.
So you can control it less in a sense, but it's that's
less responsibilities.
yeah, kind of. Bubbles, personally, I usually put it in 2 steps actually, and have it just go between 2 steps. That's really nice. Yeah. I think that's for me at least. That's the way I make it the most musical.
Yeah,
because then
like
I actually tune
setting.
Yeah. And having just 2 steps is very convenient with the tuning because I can find 2 very good values working with what I'm playing, if that makes sense. Like for every step you add, you have to tune it to what you are playing very much, which is kind of fun. to do. But yeah, bubbles being a sequenced delay with tap tempo now. So that's kind of fun,
Yeah.
actually. I don't know where I
Oh,
put the
so
version.
the old one didn't have tap tempo.
No, the first version only has one button.
Oh. See,
And I also
I didn't even know
switched
that.
out the colors a bit on the 3D because, yeah, these knob designs is also something that I'm personally very happy with.
Yeah, those look cool. Because the
Yeah.
colors underneath are 3D printed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And inside. So it looks
Yeah.
kind of like, yeah, they feel like little bubbles,
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
very aquatic feeling.
Yeah. So for the second version, I got rid of the purple and I buy too many different colored 3D filaments, I feel like, for the sake of, you know, printing tiny pieces
You got
of plastic.
seafoam green.
Yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculous at this point. Like this new color that I've added to Bubbles 2, I also put the drop here. So both Cozy and Bubbles share a drop.
Yeah.
And they also don't have anything on the foot switches because in my design brain it became too much. Like there's already so much going on, so it actually became cleaner without anything underneath the
Yeah.
foot switches.
That
Kind of
makes
fun.
sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I bought this color only for that. Like with black and white filament and stuff like that, at least I 3D print like a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
And pink also, because I like pink.
Yeah.
But with this green blue here, it's only for this.
You're gonna have to make some other reason to use it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like your enclosures. Which
Well,
is seafoam green.
Sort checking like how long they last.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have designed a bunch of stuff like spacers, like for Pebble, for example, which is a tiny one. We can talk about that later, but that one needed to have a spacer in between the bottom plate of the metal enclosure and the top part, like the main part, because of size. But yeah, I've designed that for other sizes as well, but I haven't implemented it as a design
it's a good
choice.
way to get a little extra size out of a box.
Yeah. But the story of Bubbles, I know. I feel like you're gasping a lot. Do you wanna?
No. I'm just
something?
no. Just my breathing. I'm breathing.
Am I boring you?
No.
I would have wanted to go into a new story here, but I figured.
No, do it.
Yeah, I can do it quickly. The story with Bubbles is that I had a horseman had a sequencer that he had made, just a sequencer in a box, and I had like a little PT 2399 delay laying around, and I just attached one to another because I had that idea.
Yeah.
It wasn't a super cool origin story, but it is an origin story.
Well, it's two things that are separate put together.
Yeah. Indeed.
I mean that I know. Yeah, like I don't mean that even. Yeah, like that is interesting because that's usually like where fun things happen, where it's just like these two things that weren't made for each other initially,
And there is one other pedal that is a sequence delay that I've seen, like specifically with the PT's 2399, maybe. I don't know. Cannot think of any other sequence delays though than that very one. And that one I just know about because I sort of call it out when I launched the first Bubbles.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've never seen this before. I think I'm a genius. And someone commented like, no, there is one that has been done once.
Damn.
But it's like a huge enclosure, I think.
Yeah.
Very glue-esque.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. It's big.
Yeah, so why so big? Just big to be big, I guess.
Yeah,
maybe. Or maybe they just bought like a bunch of those enclosures and that's all they could. They had to use them up.
Sure, yeah. Who knows? Yeah, I remember we talked with Knobs about that with the enclosure sizes. I think that in some cases, maybe some of the pedals I make, I know this is speculation, but if I went with a bigger enclosure, maybe it would sell better. Or if I went with a smaller enclosure, maybe it would sell better for that specific pedal.
Yeah.
So that's interesting psychologically, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, because I don't even know why that would be, but that's because I don't care how big pedals are, because I don't play guitar So that would be part of it.
Mm.
Like, because I could see if you had a pedal board, like actually being a little taller or a little wider, like could actually matter quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting with like old big muffs and stuff. Like the
Yeah.
PCV is yay small, like
Yeah.
a couple of
It's like
centimeters, and
a
then the
20th
enclosure is
the
like,
size of the pedal. Yeah.
yeah, it's
It's
all
really weird.
made to be circuit bent basically because you can put so much in
Yeah. You
there.
could put a few other pedals in there.
Yeah. Or you go like the boss route or the Chase Bliss route in the case of knobs, I guess.
Yeah.
Working with them, but yeah, just same enclosure over and over
Yeah.
and over and over again. So you have a format.
Which, yeah, I think makes a lot of sense because that's me. Yeah. Because like I said, I don't play guitar or have some reason to care too much. I mean, if about the size, like if it was really big, I'd be like, that'd be annoying to me, or really, no, mainly just really big. I would be a little annoying because it'd be like, I could put other stuff on my table, but otherwise I don't really
Yeah,
care.
I think with the paddleboard, it's definitely been a movement the last, I don't know if it's like the last 20 years, maybe even, but the 1590A, I think it's called, Hammond
Yeah.
enclosure size, which is the tiny, skinny one.
Oh, yeah. Right.
Because you want to fit that one extra, like I can fit one more pedal on my pedalboard.
Yeah.
So when I
Those
have like
ones
a
that are
compressor or
just wide enough for the 1/4 inch to go the short
yeah,
way.
exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I first saw one of those in my hand, I was like, that's crazy. Like I had to open it just to be like, how close does the tip of the plug get to? Because it looks so short in that direction.
And it's fascinating with the ones that are like FV1 even and stuff like that
Hmm.
in that size.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be good for that, I guess, because you could do a lot with an FV1. So,
Yeah.
but then you get into the limitation of not much room for controls. So you're a little limited there.
Yeah. I guess yeah, hmm. Yeah, I'm wondering now if I've seen one with because on the FV1, for people that doesn't know, it's a chip that is used in a lot of digital effects. Maybe even most.
Yeah.
I don't
It's
think
used
so, but
a
maybe.
lot, though. Yeah.
It's used so much. And you can do 8 modes.
Yeah.
So you can have like 8 different programs or whatever for it. And the most common, this is why many pedals actually look the same. I don't know if I'm poking a hole on a balloon. That's not what you say, but like bursting a bubble or whatever.
Like revealing
What
it.
is saying? Yeah, revealing trade secrets or whatever.
Probably not. As anyone who
Well,
likes
yeah.
to play with pedals or make pedals knows that, because that's like
Yeah.
there's a whole community around the FV1 making
Yeah.
your own pedals and stuff.
But it's partially a reason to why many pedal companies choose to have pedals that look identical
Yeah.
for not Chase Bliss though they've made a couple of FV1
Yeah.
stuff that is really cool, but for other companies, if it's like 4 knobs and a switch,
Yeah.
that's just the 3 knobs that you can have on an FV1 chip, and then a mix knob usually, and a switch to pick between 3 modes, or it's
Yeah.
got a rotary
It's
switch to pick
whenever you
between
see
8
like
modes.
3 knobs, like that's usually
Yeah.
kind of a sign. Like not
So it's
necessarily,
like a
but yeah.
form follows function type
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
because then you can print all the enclosures the same way, so on and so forth. All the PCBs might even be the same,
Yeah.
and you just
In a lot of
put in
ways.
different EPROMs in there with code
Yeah.
instead.
Like same stuff you just have in every pedal, like the op amps coming in and out in certain places and
Yeah,
stuff.
exactly.
Yeah.
Which is convenient and something we might do in the future.
Yeah. And Chase Bliss does do that, but like it's that's like the big boy, that's like they invent their own version of that,
Yeah, there
So
we go.
it's like a Xilinx or Blackfin or whatever, mad scientist thing they have in there. But that's why I
Yeah.
think the form, it's just like 3 knobs, 3 switches. Like that's, which I think it's cool because it's a platform for like, you can literally do anything, from if you have got enough inputs and stuff.
Yeah, it's probably really nice for when you like give out to the ones in charge of specific tasks or whatever.
Yeah.
Like here's what you have in the physical realm to work with.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
makes
They
sense.
don't have to reinvent a bunch of stuff that
No,
is
yeah.
pointless to reinvent every time they've got a new idea. Yeah.
Which is what I've done with as soon as I had like a schematic that I was happy with for the PT2399, after having done all of the tweaks to, because that's such an established ship to use. That one is in more pedals than the FV1.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as soon as I had that, I could just work from that with trying out all of these different things, like like Bubbles, which was the very first one,
Yeah.
and Cozy most, but also Segways is my forte. Flicker and Weird that I have here in front of me, which is also PT2399 delay based. Wouldn't necessarily call them delay effects though.
No. They use the delaying, I guess, to do pitch stuff.
Yeah.
But
Flicker, I think, really shines as a vibrato. And I also noticed, I don't know if you picked up on this, but the sound from the LED
yeah.
is going.
Yeah. I've heard that, yeah. I need to play with that one more. I plugged it in for like just a few minutes so far.
You can get rid of it based on your input volume.
Oh, really?
So you can get rid of it completely.
Yeah.
I was able to do it with playing through the starter phone.
Interesting.
Yeah, because I noticed it more with different things and less with, like, if I plugged in Criterion Guitari Pocket Piano straight into Flickr, no LED sound whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if it's got to do with like hotness of input signal or something like that.
You should say how that works, that pedal, just because I think that's about that.
Okay. Yeah, so Flickr is a PT2399 relay where the time parameter, as I like to call it, is controlled by a flickering LED. So just as on the outside, it's also got three flickering LEDs. Because why only have one when it's so cute with three? But there is one on the inside as well, and that's just connected, or not even connected. It's shining on LDR, which is a light dependent resistor. So that's essentially a pot just based on light instead. And then when that light is flickering, it makes, when it's shining bright, the delay time is long. But then it goes to being not bright, because that's what flickering is.
This is how flickering works, if you're not familiar.
But those LEDs are like made to mimic candles. You probably all have probably seen those, like electronic candles that you can buy.
I use them in restaurants a lot.
And I'm not sure how they work, but it's fascinating that they are basically synthesizers.
Yeah.
Like there's sound coming from them. I can make a synth with one of those LEDs.
Yeah.
Just listening to it, which is fascinating. But that then leaks into, because you have like a depth knob for it. So if you put it on max, it shines as bright as it can when it's lighting up, but then it still goes completely dark. So it makes the delay time, just because it's always going, so it makes it go crazy.
Yeah.
Right? So, which is really, really cool when you like dial down the feedback. I'm not sure. Or the delay. No, if you make the delay time, because it's got a time knob also that is sort of dividing what can happen.
Yeah.
So if that's really short and you don't have a lot of feedback, it's like a vibrato, but a random vibrato.
Yeah.
Which is something that people do with like microcontrollers and stuff like that. This is just an LED.
It's cool to get it from that. Where did you find that part? Or like, how did you come across it? I mean,
I was just buying LEDs one day, and it was like new in stock.
Yeah.
In the store where like a Swedish store where I buy components.
Yeah.
It's really expensive as far as parts goes.
Yeah, for an LED.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. It's like over $1.
Yeah.
Per LED.
That's it's a lot for an LED.
Yeah. Yeah, I think regular, just a red LED, can that be?
Like pennies, usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, that sort of made this entire design also. I don't remember where I was going. Yeah, I mean, having a PT2399 schematic and just adding a Vactrol instead to control stuff that's going on. It's just a nice thing to do, I guess.
Yeah, it's a base of design.
Yeah. And I really like how this, and you have one in person also.
Yeah.
It doesn't translate as nice over camera with the knobs, but these knobs are really, really nice.
Maybe my camera's better than yours, though.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, yeah. Probably is. Because it's, yeah, they're nice. They're like a copper kind of
Yeah.
like sheen or whatever. Yeah.
And I made my little pedal popper with like a transparent
Yeah.
yellow.
I really like that too.
Felt like at some point it started to feel like a box of matches or something like that.
Yeah.
I remember saying.
Yeah.
That became sort of the vibe.
Yeah, because it's kind of was skinnier too.
Yeah. And then, of course, with the bronzy stuff, it's also a bit steampunky.
Yeah.
And it's, with the warm lights also being flickering a bit, it gets this steampunky vibe.
So where did you come up with the name Flicker? No, just kidding.
What weird is it's like similar ethos, I get. It's a PT22 delay, but it's controlled by your input signal.
Yeah.
So not very delay either, or maybe, but it's a really strange way of doing like the rainbow machine effect sometimes.
Yeah, the weirdest thing, weird's a good name for it because it is just weird. Like the weirdest thing is when you have something that does change in volume in a pretty like defined pattern, because then it starts like doing, I don't know, it's hard to describe because it's easy to say what it does. It's just the input level affects the delay time.
Yeah,
but it's like it's really difficult to predict what it will sound like, even though it's easy to say how it works.
And you can sort of, I think for me personally, it's super nice with synths.
Yeah.
I think it's great with guitar also to play around with, but with synths, you get this whole new controllability because you can make the synth do a thing for a while you're setting the controls or whatever.
And synths can have, it's so easy to make like a uniform level, if it's just like one level. So then you can just control the level better. It's not like so fluctuating naturally. It's because it's unnatural. It's a synth.
But it's definitely going in not the sort of, I don't know how much intention I put into it. Actually, it's just a really fun thing to have come up with. But if we assume that I have intentions, then I guess the intentions would be the opposite, where it's like you should go as wild and crazy as possible to just be super weird.
Yeah.
Whilst what we're saying now is basically going in the other direction, trying to control it as much as possible.
That's always just as a playing person, when I'm playing, I'm always trying to control it because I'm me.
But now I think the most fun experiment I've done when sort of demoing it and having Bassmaster Andreas play it is to take a drum machine, have that on, just going like a drum machine does, but taking one of the sounds from a drum machine. So many drum machines, you can output like a single sound on with like a breaking jack, and put that into the new jack that is on the version 2. Because on version 1, it didn't have that. It looked like this. Right. Very inspired by count to 5 in how I put the knobs and knob choice.
Yeah, that's what I thought of when I saw it. It's like orange count to 5.
It's the orange count to 5. But now it's got a little hole here, so you can have a separate audio source controlling, like being the input for the delay control, whilst your audio is just going through the delay instead.
So then if I go ahead. I bet you're going to answer my question.
Yeah, with the drum machine, I break out one of the sounds from the drum machine and put that into controlling the delay instead.
Yeah.
So then it will happen at, like, let's assume every start of a bar or whatever. And if it's like a longer sound with a tail, it's gonna be like boom.
Yeah. And what I was gonna ask is I think you kind of implied it, but when you plug into that, it cuts, or it doesn't use the input. Yeah.
It just breaks the signal.
It affects the input, but the
legs.
The external is what's affecting the delay time.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. And now I also put a separate LED to also indicate whatever happens.
Yeah.
which is nice in my opinion. Because it's the same technology or whatever. There's just a Vactrol on the inside
Yeah.
that, funny enough, uses an RGB LED, which is even more expensive than
Huh.
the flickering one.
Weird.
But that was just, yeah, exactly. Weird. But that was just.
I didn't even mean it like that. I just thought that's actually weird. I wonder why they use RGB.
No, I got the since it's a Vactrol, so the brightness affects the LDR.
Yeah.
Like how much it affects the LDR is based on the brightness, and when you're scrolling through colors, different, like I want to say stuff like different wavelengths of light, blah blah blah. But
Yeah.
it's essentially that's probably not what's happening at all. It's just that the different colors on the RGB LED are just
Affected.
not as bright.
Yeah. No,
So,
that makes sense. Maybe it just gives them more control over overall brightness or whatever by
yeah.
having different colors.
So the star knob, because it's got a little star knob, just scrolls from lowest because the way this RGB LED works is it's just got two legs and it's
Yeah.
like an automatic one. So if you would just plug it between, like resistor from power through the LED and then to a resistor, just those
Yeah.
two legs, it would scroll through the colors automatically,
Oh.
which is also really fancy, funky technology. Like I have no idea
It's
how
like
they
all in an
do that.
LED.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really cool. Same with the flickering one, like the fact that it's able to do
How
that.
does it do that all? Like just in an LED.
really
It's
cool.
weird.
And there I have a slow one and a fast one,
Yeah.
meaning that it's if I just plug it between power and ground, so I just feed it power, it can either switch between the different colors on the RGB spectrum quickly or slowly.
Yeah.
It's like regardless of voltage or whatever.
Yeah. I don't know how they do
But
it.
yeah,
It's like
no
a
idea.
fancy electricity kind of thing.
Yeah, very strange. But when I feed it with the input signal, which is just the input signal being very, very hot, super distorted, to become voltage,
Yeah.
or hot enough voltage to voltage up the LED, I guess.
Yeah.
Or not, I guess it's current, maybe.
I don't know.
Because it's going through. Like voltage going through resistors becomes current.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't know. Well, yeah, it's no longer scrolling through the colors, is what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
At least it goes like with the knob. If you put it on max, it like goes up to the brightest, which is white in the case of this LED.
It's like all
and
colors.
then it like goes back down to red, which is like the first color that it gets on like the lowest current / voltage. This is just fascinating stuff.
I wonder how it works. I don't know.
Yeah, I have no idea.
That's what's kind of fun too. You don't always
really
have to know how every little part works. You know what it does.
Yeah, exactly. Since we're working with like audio,
Yeah.
we just wanted to do stuff with the audio.
Yeah. Then you just make it and listen. It's like, yeah, that sounds cool, or no.
Yeah.
That sounds
Then
not
you
cool.
try really hard to make it look good
Yeah.
on the outside. But yeah, I think lastly, so there might be more things to say about it, but I forget. Bit Pirate we haven't touched on, and Pebble. Those are the two ones left in this batch.
Least colorful of all the pedals we've looked at so far.
Fun that you would say that. Bit Pirate number 1, actually, and I think Bit Pirate is the one with the least amount of changes for the version 2. It's just the triple bypass system.
Yeah.
No. So I actually stripped a bunch of version 1s that I could have sold instead.
Yeah.
To just take the enclosure, put the new PCB in. I threw them in a bin.
Yeah.
The one-day strip for parts in my imagination. Like, I really wish I had an intern.
You go through them all. It's hard though too, because now you've clipped them all too. So like, they'd
Yeah, but I
really
could at least like I pulled out all the ships quite obviously, but there
yeah.
are some parts that are more expensive than other parts that I like pots, for example,
Yeah.
quite a pricey part. So
Yeah.
if I have 50 pots that I could just, scavenge
You
or
want to
whatever.
hold on to those.
Yeah. Because they've never been used, so it's not like grabbing old
Yeah.
ones either. They've just
Yeah.
been soldered in place once and tested. However, first Bit Pirate, I had like a concept for it where I wanted them all to have different knobs, actually, because I wanted it to feel a bit piratey,
Yeah.
because
Like,
that's sort of the theme.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Like
having,
patchwork kind of.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. With the new one, not so much because I ran out of knobs.
It's a more sophisticated pirate.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's still like four completely different ones, but all very bitonal or whatever.
Yeah.
That's like a fancy word for black and white.
Yeah.
Uh, but it gives it this really wonky vibe,
It's the
though.
same. Yeah, I think it's the same vibe. It makes it feel kind of, yeah, like I said, like patchwork.
Yeah, I like it surprisingly much because it's hard to sort of strike a balance with going with four completely different knobs. Like BitBird version 2 has a chicken head knob, for example, which
Yeah.
is one of those that you don't see very much on guitar
Yeah.
pedals.
Yeah. Not today. Not ever, really. I
Mm.
guess. Yeah. They're more on like machines
Guitar
and
or
some.
something.
Yeah, like some guitars, some
Yeah.
synths, but yeah. I think
That's
they're
just
fun.
because I have one on my guitar.
I feel
see them a lot on
No, I
this
feel
one
well. Or I
guitar.
was thinking amps when you said that. I've seen on guitar
Yeah,
amps.
amps. I've
Yeah.
seen them. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. It's not a very nice personal opinion, I guess, but it's definitely got a certain vibe to
Yeah.
it that is hard to put on things without it sort of taking over.
Yeah.
It's not very discreet,
Yeah.
I guess.
You mean the knob or the pedal?
Yeah, the chicken head
Okay.
knob.
Yeah.
I think a lot about knobs.
Yeah.
Maybe it's weird. But I think that it definitely has to.
It does look like it's the most out of place looking one in there, which is good in that design because they're supposed to look a little out of place. Yeah.
I really think it adds to it rather than just take over.
Yeah.
Because it takes away a bit from how wonky it is with the crossbones.
Yeah.
A bit, like it balances that up a bit,
But
I think.
what does the Bit Pirate do?
So Bitpart being complete and utter copy of the Bit Commander by Earthspeaker Devices. Hence the name.
Description complete.
Description complete. No, but it's essentially the same effect done a tiny bit differently, but still with a 4040 chip. So what it does is it takes your input signal and it pushes that through, once again making it super hard, like I did in Weird, distorting like crazy. Like a square wave is what it becomes essentially when it's clipping a lot, because if you were to think of a sailor
and he grabs onto the wave at the last, I don't know.
But if you think of a sailor and a wave, and then that wave becomes so high, because it's a storm, and you try to take a photograph of that wave, you would clip the very top of it.
Okay.
So it would be a straight line, which is the edge of the photograph, like it is up here, So if I were to make a half circle with my hand for the webcam and go like this, it becomes a square.
Have you ever? Sorry.
And the square wave is essentially a clock in the world of electronics,
Yeah, it's
so
clipped off.
I can clock ship with it, essentially.
Yeah, because then it's was it the clocks? Most of those, it's like there's a certain threshold where it's like max, and then since it's a wave that's bipolar, like positive and negative, there's a zero and a on and off, but you're just turning it into ons and offs. Like yeah,
and then you can divide that down with this specific CMOS chip, which is a 4040. So you can, by the click of a click if you choose to have a click. I don't. I have a knob
Yeah.
instead for each and every one. But like on the different pinouts on this ship, you get like a divided down version, which then means that you get like a sub octave or just an octave down, or you could go wild and crazy, do 3 octaves, 4 octaves, 5 octaves down, 6 octaves. Like there's really
Yeah.
just your imagination, you know. Which is that's done in a handful of pedals at least.
Yeah.
To a similar extent. I do it in a way that I haven't seen done before, though, with like a. But it's likely that it has been done before. But it's like a amplifier ship, pure and simple, that is
Hmm.
mid for like small speakers and stuff,
Huh.
which is a fun
That-
way to heat up the
That's how
signal.
you make the signal really loud. I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then also I'm tricking another CMOS chip, and there is some I found. The reason why I'm doing that is because I found how to do it online, but I can't remember by whom. But you get an octave up feeling essentially by, I think it's an AND gate or something like that. Like you're tricking the AND gate to play the signal at twice the speed somehow
Huh.
by sort of plugging it into, maybe it's an AND OR gate, so you plug it into either or,
Yeah, maybe.
and then you give it some latency,
like the rising and falling edge thing.
Yeah.
Flip on both the
So you just
on
hear
and
it twice.
the going off part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I tweaked it a bunch to get the sound I wanted in relationship to the
Yeah.
octave down and the 2 octaves down. Like usually when people do octave up pedals, it's with like a transformer and stuff,
Huh.
which is really cool. They have like a big part in the pedals, which is
Yeah.
something that I started doing research on it because back to the stutter phone, there's a transformer in all of the stutter phones
Yeah.
for the telephone to do something. I don't know what, but they do something with that in them.
Yeah.
So I could probably experiment with that and so take that specific component and turn that into like maybe an octave up pedal.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like specific transformers that are used or something like that.
That's what you'll
Way
find out
above.
when you
Yeah.
experiment.
Yeah, that's why I started like
Yeah.
researching it, but it was actually surprisingly hard to find information on that specific transformer, I guess. It's got so many wires coming out of it. Also very intimidating. It's like
the
5 or
different
6
taps.
wires. Yeah. So, but maybe one day in the future.
You didn't talk about this.
Pebble.
Yeah.
There's not a lot to say because it's so small. So Pebble is half of Bit Pirate, actually. I should finish with the Bit Pirate. So it's not a straight up copy from the Bit Commander. Done.
Just a little addendum to the notes there.
But definitely taking, like, since that's called the Bit Commander and everything. But I got rid of like it's got like I don't know. It doesn't have a mix knob, which I think it should have had, if anything.
Well, they don't have a moratorium on the word bit anyway. That's all. Anytime you're doing that, there's so many different things you can do when you start changing it to on-off kind of stuff.
That is true. Yeah. But the Pebble, at least being just the zero voice, which is just the distorted signal that is used to clock everything. It's just that signal, but turned audible again.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. And then the -1, so just 1 octave down in that square wave synthy, which is really nice because it's not necessarily PLL feely because it's so straight up. Just what you play is what you get. With the PLL, there's a lot of other stuff, at least how it's implemented in pedals, that gets the PLL label.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because it feels almost kind of fuzzy sometimes.
Yeah.
Which does like the normal PLL pedals don't feel as fuzzy as these. Fuzzy as in fuzz distortion. Like it has that feel. Not a fuzz distortion, it just feels that way kind of.
Yeah. I think PLL with those specific, because you can do it with CMOS chips, I know, but the ones that are out there or whatever focus pretty heavily on that trail that you can get, where it's like you play a note and then after the note has been played, you get like a pew.
Yeah.
That stuff, which makes it really cool an artificial vibe in a sense. Like I don't know how to put it. Really, it feels
Yeah.
otherworldly that with what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know.
It's kind of, yeah, it's more like a mechanical, yeah, or like alien kind of thing.
Yeah, which is really cool. This is way more just what you play.
Yeah.
You get that.
It's a form of distortion, kind of.
Yeah, but it doesn't track like polyphony is really funky with it. I
Yeah.
get like if you play an entire chord, if you play just two notes, you can find these really cool harmonies because since it's gonna take both of those notes or three if you go wild and crazy or all of the notes and turn that into just being on off
Yeah.
and then divide that down to a single synth note, if we can call it that, like a square wave out note. If you play two notes at the same time, the note you get out will be something else, basically like a harmony
Yeah.
kind of thing.
It's like a form of synthesis, basically. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. Maybe something to make some sort. I mean, they do it with like Lunetta
Yeah.
synthesizers. Have you seen? Yeah. Anyways, the Pebble, 0 and 1, but instead of having two knobs, you fade between them. And
Yeah.
I did it first as a pedal that I put somewhere.
That was bigger.
Yeah, exactly. The fuck is it? Yeah, it's gone. But it had the same knob, but it was like on a
Yeah.
125B is the size of this, and Chase Bliss enclosure. It's like a very
Yeah.
traditional pedal enclosure. But I wanted to fit it all in like a tiny enclosure, so it's super cute
Yeah.
as a sort of challenge.
Yeah.
And I'm probably not
that's a
going
fun
to make
challenge.
more than the ones that I've made.
Yeah.
'Cause channel less fun or challenge less fun
Yeah.
when you have to repeat the challenge.
Yeah. When you have to produce copies of the challenge.
Yeah. Fun to make one
Yeah.
as a challenge. But no. And that's why this one even has to have this riser.
Yeah.
So it's got like a riser between the bottom plate and the main enclosure because it just everything didn't fit. Like it's got that big relay on the inside, and it's got a 16-pin chip, which the
Yeah.
4040 is.
Yeah.
Technical terms for the people listening. It's got a Molex connector, which is also pretty big, and then it's got 3 8-pin chips.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
Yeah. That's it.
So the
there's no more space
8-pin
left
pick
after that.
microcontroller, TL like an op amp, and the amplifier chip,
And the pot.
and the pod.
Yeah.
Yeah, all of that in the smallest possible enclosure
And the
you can
jacks,
buy.
of course. Yeah.
And the jack, and they are top mounted,
Yeah.
or back mounted.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre.
Yeah.
that
They're fun. When you look inside, there's no more room left.
There is a mess inside. There was quite a few revisions of that PCB,
Yeah.
I gotta say. And since you have opened it, like the button
Yeah.
that I had to put on the front, like that button is huge.
Yeah.
on what's inside of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
It's
like a lot of the
wild.
space too.
And everything is through hole, so no SMD either. Yeah.
But the result's fun.
The result is pretty fun. But that's it for the most recent launch.
There
I
you go.
guess.
There you have it.
Went through all of them. Yeah.
And should people ask questions, or should we ban all questions? Should we say no questions allowed?
Can we link to the questions?
Well, if you put it on YouTube, then yeah, we'll put a link to this video in this video.
Yeah. Very meta.
Yeah.
Meta stuff, indeed.
I'm gonna do that now.
No, but yeah, I think that I want questions for sure.
Yeah.
Like, as you have heard now, I have talked to the point of analog like
No.
this over and over again.
It's because I had a huge hamburger when they need on. It's not you.
Jealous.
It's not you, it's the hamburger.
While I was planning out all of this.
Yeah. I was sitting there eating a hamburger.
Yeah.
Sorry.
In your mind.
You're very interesting. I just ate a hamburger.
Yeah, I'm just making fun. But I, of course, want questions. I guess
Yes.
it's what we finalize
Yeah.
that.
That's what I figured. Then people can ask them, and then you can answer them.
We will answer them in a Patreon episode.
Yeah, if you really want to know the answers.
You know, we're good at this.
Yeah,
Social media.
the Patreon link will be in the description too.
Right beneath the link to where you ask questions, which is this video.
I'm gonna make Sony links
Perfect.
in the description of this video.
But thank you for listening. I think that the questions are going to be really valuable for the next launch, if nothing else. I will try to answer all of the questions as much as possible, depending on the questions. You know, I won't send pictures of any person's feet to you just because you're asking, but I will try to answer. But then I also know sort of what you are curious about in regards to the next launch, because there's inevitably going to be, unless I die under very suspicious circumstances now, there's going to be more stuff coming from me, and then we can, if this is appreciated, if this was super boring and nobody liked it, we're still going to do it because I need to fucking market my shit.
You're just gonna have these videos every once in a while.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to watch. I'm sorry,
but I won't focus on any specific things that people were curious about. Yes,
that makes sense.
That's about it. But I hope to improve how to make it more interesting or something. I don't know. Bye.
Yeah, bye.